Good evening, teacher. As you know, I am doing my observation practicum with the teacher Karen in the phonetics too. Therefore, I would like to share with you my experience during my first interaction and who it developed. So, the topics was silent letters. The name of my activity was how the silent letters tricky activity went. Um, the activity was very easy. We carried out was dynamic game called Silent Letters Tricky, another an adaptation of the traditional tricky game, but an education focus on English. The idea was for a student to identify words with letters that are not pronounced and they engage in competitive game to reinforce what they had learned from the behind. I feel a mix on anticipation and nervous as it was my first activity interaction with the students in the classroom. But to my surprise, the activity turned out even better than I had expected. The student got into the game right away, which made the learning process feel very natural and engaging. At first, I noticed that some of them were above confused the concepts of silent letters. It was clear that although the topic had already been introduced, there was still some uncertainty. However, as we began working with the concrete examples, their understanding and noise improved. Okay, one of the most moments was when they started debating words like Nike and honest. The things were discussed whether the K or H were pronounced. What was really interesting was that with some gains and, and observation, the student began to figure out their roles on their own, which I think is a clear seeing that really learning was taking place. The word cards we were prepared were helpful support, but what truly made the difference was when students began to come up with their own examples. After the game, we move on the sentence building stage. I found this part especially effective because I allowed a student to apply what they had learning in more realistic context. Where in their own sentence and identify the silent letters, push then I think more deeply about word structure and pronunciation. This was when I became clear how had truly internalized the concept. Finally, we had a group reflection session, and it was very rewarding to hear several students say they from now on they will pay more attention to how English words are pronounced. Some even mentioned that they had seen this word writing many times, but had never stopped to think about which letter were actually pronounced and which weren't. For me, that was one of the most important outcomes and of activity. It was used again, but an experience that sparked their curiosity and language awareness. So, teacher, that's it. Is my experience. Um, bye bye.